Yeah, it's one heart, one shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the night with the...
And we're live. What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? Hope you're having an absolutely phenomenal Thursday evening. Welcome to another episode of the Pre-PT Grind Chat Live. For those of y'all that are new to this community and to Pre-PT Grind, welcome. If you're a Pre-PT, you are in the right place. Our job, Pre-PT Grind and what we do is we're both physical therapists. My name is Joseph. This is Casey, and we're also acceptance coaches. But really what we want to do is make sure that you guys are taken care of on this acceptance journey. Like, we want to help y'all get into PT school without having to waste a lot of time and money. And speaking on money tonight, that's exactly what we are going to be talking about. So for those of y'all that are on live right now, let me just make sure that we're actually live in the group, because I know sometimes, and I say this a lot, but you'd be surprised how many times I've gone live in the wrong group. And for those of y'all that are joining us live right now, tag your friends that are also inside of the group, so that we can have this conversation. But it's not one that we have a lot. Like, for some reason, money seems to be a conversation that is avoided a lot. And I don't know why, because it affects a lot of what we do. And for you guys as applicants, you guys are, I'm assuming, here because you're trying to get accepted into a physical therapy program. And if that's the case, money is a part of it. And I'm not talking about just the money later. I'm not talking about just that. I'm talking about like money now, like money that, costs to apply to physical therapy school, and, what all comes with that. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How should I approach the financial cost of applying to PT school? So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to dive in. Excuse my stuffiness. I'm having like some allergies. So if I if I have, anyway, y'all, if you hear my voice like this, it's fine. Just learn. But more importantly, at the end of this training, we're actually going to be announcing something that we actually released earlier on our other social media platforms. But for those of y'all that do not know, that, you know what, forget that. We'll announce it now. Casey, what are we doing? That we announced earlier, and then we'll announce this again at the end, so the people that are live right now don't miss out on it. What is it, boss?
Yeah, so on this topic of money, since money is important to you guys now, it's not just important that we just talk about it and say, oh, just it's out there, go do something. If we have some power in our means to help you guys, we want to do that. Just like virtual observation hours and all the other free content that we do, how else can we help you guys, the literal future of our profession? How else can we help you guys with the cost now that we're going to talk about, and eventually, using that for the cost later? So we're doing a monthly money giveaway, which is 2 $100 prizes every month, every single month. And you can enter every single month to help you guys with just life, the stuff you have in life, whether it's gas or travel or pet food,
application costs,
GRE stuff, whatever that is. We want to make sure that we help you guys as well and give back to you guys. So that's what's going on. Every month, we'll announce it at the last Thursday of every month. We'll be announcing those 2 winners that will be getting $100 for that month. Then we'll recycle that into the next month and post it again and say, remember the monthly money giveaway. So every month, we're just giving it out to help you guys with this huge thing that is money, that is a real life thing for you guys as students specifically. Yes, it's a real life thing for everyone, but you as students specifically, that brings on a lot of stress, just like it does for everybody else. So how else can we help you guys? This is a small way that we're trying to do our part right now in our means that we can to give back and help you guys. So definitely enter, go to Instagram, scroll down in this Facebook group, go to Twitter. I'll post it on TikTok probably tomorrow, and follow the instructions to enter, like, save, comment on that post, text MMG to that number you'll see, subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Then once you text that number, you'll get a sheet, a link to sign up and finish that process so we can find you. That last part is very important, so we can find you for the winners of the giveaway. So that's what we're doing.
Boom, that's it. So we're saying that at the beginning, so that for those of y'all that are like, oh my goodness, like, I want to just get some, potentially win some money for applying or whatever you guys need. We want to just make sure y'all are good, but you'll also get a lot of value. So you'll see on the other side that regardless of whether you're one of the winners or not, you will get a lot of value as part of that community that you'll join. So we got you guys covered, but we want this conversation of money to become the norm. So let's dive into tonight. Tonight, we're talking about how should I approach the financial cost of applying to PT school. So how many of you, say me, how many of you have thought about the cost of just doing this whole application process? Like from where you are right now to the moment that you submit your application for PT school and whatnot, not counting what school is going to cost. I'm not even talking about that right now. Like how many of you, say me, if you've at least thought about how much money this is going to cost you guys? Say me in the comments. If you have, say me. If you have not, even better, because we want to have this dialogue. Like for a lot of students, it catches them off guard. They're like, wait a minute, like, oh man, the GRE is this much. Oh my goodness. Then PTCAS, and wait, it's how much to apply to 5 schools, to 10 schools, to however many schools I'm interested in. And now it starts to pile up. And if we're not aware of it, if we're not even talking about ways to navigate through it or how to prepare for it, then it's like one extra thing that just adds stress to your experience. And so let's talk about it tonight. But for those of y'all that have thought about this, man, like this is the place to be. So really, so let's break it down into 2 categories. Is that cool? And then Casey and I will just talk about both. So the first category, when it comes to costs, financial costs of applying to PT school, is the ones that are visible. So visible costs are, and we'll dive into this a little bit deeper, but visible costs are PTCAS. So when I'm applying to a program, right, the first program is what, like $155 or something like that. And then each additional program is like $60, right? So I have to think about that. Okay, like what's that going to cost me? And start thinking, like if you're planning on applying to 5 schools, 10 schools, and we're not going to go into all that too much, but just know PTCAS has its own set of costs, right? The GRE, right? If I have not taken the GRE yet, that is a part of the cost that will be like part of this whole thing. And it stresses us out, especially for those of us that are like, oh, like, can I just avoid taking the GRE because it's like expensive? But, and it just creates other things, right? And we'll not, like, tonight's not about the GRE, but that's a visible expense. Classes, if I'm retaking classes, that actually costs money. Like that's a visible expense. If you're telling me, Casey and Joseph, y'all are telling me, I can actually increase my GPA from my prerequisite GPA from a 2.9 to like a 3.4 if I retake these 4 big prerequisite classes. Whoa, now I got to figure out where to take them. Like that's money, right? So what happens is the visible costs are the ones that you guys can see right here and now. If that makes sense so far, can y'all comment makes sense? And then Casey and I are going to dive into both, right? So if that makes sense, the visible costs are the ones that are super easy to see. And then the invisible cost, it's really just one. The biggest invisible cost is guessing and just simply not knowing. So what I mean by that is this, I can't tell y'all how many times I'll talk to students. I know Casey has talked to a lot of students who have said, man, I applied to 15 schools last cycle and I was rejected by all of them because 7 of them said I didn't even qualify. I didn't finish the right prerequisites for them, or I didn't meet where they were at. I didn't match up with them. I did that, this, that, and the other. We've had students tell us, man, I applied to 17 schools because I just didn't know. And even if they get accepted to 1 schools or 2 schools, because they just weren't sure and they just kind of threw it all out there and said, hey, let me just apply to a whole bunch of schools, that's money, right? So it's like literally guessing and not knowing, not understanding how to navigate through this application process. And this is why we teach this stuff, y'all. Like, y'all probably heard our content, and this is why we teach y'all how to not guess your way through your acceptance journey, because that is the biggest invisible cost, right? How's that costing me, Casey and Joseph? Well, it's costing me because of what I just told you. But now if I'm guessing my way through, what happens if I don't get accepted? That's an entire year of me not being a physical therapist, and now it starts to build out. So those are the 2 costs, all right? Let's talk about both. Let's start with the first one. Casey, how do we approach the costs of those visible costs, the like PTCAS, GRE, classes? Like I'm looking at it, Casey, and I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I deal with this? How do I navigate through this? Some students are paying their way through school and they're just like, like, I don't know what to do, man. So how can we think about this as we approach it? And then let's end with the invisible costs, because that is one that if we don't hit, like that is such a big one that we don't realize takes so much out of our pocket, because we're like, oh, if I can just apply to like 20 schools. Maybe I'll get lucky and get accepted this year. We just want to avoid that completely. So talk to us about the visible costs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with all of that. All of that is definitely those costs that you should keep in mind. So now it's like, what can possibly be a solution for some of you, for all of you? Pick and choose what you want, right? So really with money and these finances around PT school, you can either try and decrease the costs, or you can try and make more money, or both. Like those are really the only solutions I see. If you guys see more, comment below and let us know. But in terms of decreasing the costs, what Joseph was talking about, how can you then do that? So Joseph mentioned PT Cast, and he also mentioned he gave you a gym within the gym. Don't apply to as many schools, and that can decrease your cost by $60 by each school if you want to get all technical. So next, there's a fee waiver on PT Cast that they give you. Now it's first come, first serve, so you got to be on it. There's a limited amount. Just go to ptcast.org. Just type in Google PT Cast and fee waiver. It'll tell you more about that. You can use a fee waiver to help decrease the cost of those costs that we're talking about. Then you can spend your money on the right things, meaning this, like what's going to give you a return on investment? Meaning if somebody has something that can help you, is it worth it to spend your money on that, or on multiple attempts on the classes you're going to take, or multiple attempts on the GRE? What for you individually, you'll have to think this out for yourself. What's more important to you, and what do you think will give you the better return on investment? Having someone guide you through that, or you just trying. It could be you just trying, that's fine. It could be somebody helping you. And that's another thing. Then that kind of goes along with the last thing I had with those GRE attempts. If you take more and more GREs and you don't have anything to guide you, whether that's YouTube for free or whether that's another system, you're just spending more and you're spending more and you're spending more. So that's that return on investment kind of piece as well with that. Then with the income, how can you increase your income to help subsidize those costs, I guess? Well, in my opinion, there's money everywhere. There's just, you guys can look on your phone. If you, inside your phone, there's money everywhere. And even if you look up and look outside, there's money everywhere. So for me, I can rant all day about this, but it really depends on, one, what's your bandwidth? How much energy, how much time do you have to try and go get it, go after it? What kind of person are you as well to go after that? What's your drive to do the extra stuff to increase your income, to pay this extra stuff, and to just have a more fluid life with the more disposable income that you have? That's one of the things. Then once you know that, you kind of know where you're at, then you can say, okay, I'm ready to go get it. And if you're ready to go get it, then a whole list of stuff you can rattle off, from things, not online to things online. I have a YouTube video on it. Can you work in PT school? I mentioned some things. I don't even want to start mentioning it because I'll miss stuff. You guys can drop that in the comments below on what you can do, what are side hustles, what are other things you can pick up that can bring you easy income, or income that could be a lot more, but you just have to work more at. So at least for that first section that we talked about so far, that's what I want you to think about as well. Okay, Joseph gave you the things like, okay, I need to start thinking about that. Now, what can possibly be some solutions to those costs that we just talked about? So yeah, let's go on to the next one.
Boom, boom. And then let's go to invisible costs. And you actually touched on this a little bit, man. Like the invisible cost of guessing and just like not knowing, right? Like if I don't know, like what I don't know is what, basically is where I'm bottlenecked. It's like, if I don't know how to like have a strong application, then what I'm going to do is naturally the next best thing, apply to more places. Like one of the, y'all, maybe now that we're talking about money, this statement that I'm going to say is going to sound strange to you, right? One thing that I hear a lot for the GRE, because that's a common question that we get, like, how do I navigate through the GRE? And we'll have other live trainings that are for the GRE, but I hear this a lot, and to me, it's like, why? Like, but one of the most common strategies that I've heard recently, and whether you've done this or not, or you're planning on doing it or not, just listen in, is, hey, Joseph, hey, Casey, I'm actually just planning on, taking the GRE once and just kind of seeing how I do. I'm going to take the real thing, and if it goes well, it goes well. But if it doesn't, hey, I'm planning on at least taking it 2 more times after that. I'm planning on taking it at least 3 times or 4 times, right? Because now it's like we almost revert to preparing ourselves mentally to take the GRE more times, to apply to a lot more schools. And basically, in doing this more, we hope that at some point something will catch, right? At some point, I'll hopefully get a high enough score on the GRE. At some point, I'll be familiar enough with it that it'll just work itself out. At some point, I'll apply to enough schools that somebody will look at me and say, hey, join our program. And at that point, I'll be able to sit there and be like, well, yo, this was so worth it. I spent a lot of money, but it was so worth it. That's how we play it in our heads. But then what happens is when it doesn't work out, that turns into anxiety. That turns into us not believing in our ability to actually become strong candidates. This is where now a lot of the psychological stuff that we talk about a lot, that's where it shifts to. And just think of the money. Like if for the GRE, so what, it's like 200, 205 to take, like around
Somewhere
there to
in
take the GRE, right? So if I'm taking the GRE just to practice it, and I'm just dropping $205 just to see, it's like, do y'all see where we start? Just lack of understanding, lack of actually knowing how to deal with the steps in the application process is costing us so much money. Guess who does not care about that? The people y'all pay for the GRE do not care. They're getting paid. Guess who also doesn't care? PTCast. PTCast does not care how many schools you apply to. They just want their money. That's all they care about, right? They're giving you a platform to basically apply to as many schools as you want. If you want to apply to 40 schools, the better for them. It's a more profitable day for them, but who loses? You do. So the biggest invisible cost is not knowing, not understanding how to deal with my application, not knowing how to navigate through what I'm going through step by step. And so that's what you have to ask yourself. Yo, like I'm out here like I'm out here just trying to kind of wing it and see what my classmates are doing. Like, are you wasting time and money? Like literally, we say that before every live stream. We teach you how to not waste time and money. So let's talk about both. We waste time by just guessing. Like we waste money by guessing. So now I have to ask myself, if I can address the things that Casey said before about the visible costs of applying to PT school, and then I can ask myself, what am I doing now to basically figure this thing out, to learn how this game works, to understand how I can get strong at the GRE, to understand how I can reduce as much guesswork as possible. I mean, ask any student that we've coached in our coaching program. That's one of the first things we tell them. We're like, yo, like, we're trying to help y'all not guess because guessing is already costing you way too much money and ain't nobody got time for that. And so, like, that's the second big cost. So, Casey, what are your thoughts on that on top of that, man?
Yeah, I think just taking that a step further, another invisible cost is that opportunity cost. Then let's take that a step further because the stuff that myself and Joseph just talked about, if that ends up in you being rejected 1, 2, 3, 7 times, whatever that is, that's the cost of you not being a PT that year or that many years earlier. So how much does a PT make? Depending on your setting, let's just keep it even. I know it varies, 70 grand base. Let's just to keep it even. So if you're not doing all of this to make sure you're not wasting time and money, if you end up not being successful, are you missing out on potentially 70 grand? Times 2, times 3, times whatever. Now you also have to think about, now if it's not time for you to apply, don't hear that number. Oh, am I still here? Am I there? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I'll keep going though. Should I keep going? I can't see the Facebook either, but I'll keep going. Let's see if this works. But with opportunity costs, if you're, not applying or not getting accepted for those 1, 2, 3, whatever years, you have to multiply that number times whatever you would be making. Now you have to think to yourself, I need to be more strategic so I can be more successful when I apply. Now, I don't want you guys to hear that number and say, oh my gosh, I need to rush and apply sooner just because this opportunity cost that they talked about, I'm going to be missing out. No, if you're not ready, PT isn't going anywhere. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you're not wasting that time and money, like we said, and wasting all that visible cost on what would just be going down the drain, which could be put to better use, return on investment, put to better use the next time you apply or whenever it's right for you to apply. So that's the one opportunity cost. Then the next one is making your money work for you. If you're spending all this extra money on whatever you're doing or whatever you're frivolously spending or not spending on, whatever that is, where could you be putting that money with the time that you have, whether you're 19, 17, 25, 42, whatever you are, how can you be putting that money to work that you're not using on that third GRE attempt, that you're not using on that 15th school, that 13th school? If you cut out half the schools and not apply to 10, and you only apply to 5, that's $600 or whatever that you could be putting to work somewhere else, but you're not. Like Joseph said, that's an invisible cost. So that $600 can turn into $1,200 or whatever, $5,000 in the next years. But that's an invisible cost that is costing you as well, if you let these visible costs strip that power from you. So just taking that one step further, I think that those are two other invisible costs. The opportunity cost of not being a PT earlier, when it's the right time for you, please, when it's the right time for you, then next, making that money that you're saving and putting that to work for you. So yeah, hope the audio is back. Let's see.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Figured it out. My Bluetooth went all crazy, but I was hearing you. I just wasn't hearing myself. but Casey hit it right on the money, y'all. So was this, first of all, for those of y'all that are live right now, was tonight helpful, right? Like just say, like, let us know in the chat below, because this conversation can, like, if you let it go over your head, like it'll go over your head, right? But if you really start understanding it, it starts to empower you, right? Because we just don't talk about money the right way enough in the pre-PT, process, in the PT schooling process. You won't hear it talked about much as physical therapists. It's just like the profession just avoids money. And I think, like, it empowers you when you guys start understanding it. Like, it empowers you when you guys start to, like, look at it for what it is. Like, don't avoid it, don't ignore it, don't assume that it'll just kind of figure itself out, because that's when you lose control. So that's the biggest thing. So takeaway as we wrap this up tonight is, one, you can either be a victim or you can be in control. You're a victim when you just kind of let this thing happen to you. It's like, I'll figure it out. The GRE, PT cast. Okay, I'll ask my mom for money, right? You're a victim. You're basically reacting to your circumstance. Or you can be in control and just understand, what am I looking at? Like, what's this going to cost me? So that I'm not left just kind of complaining and being frustrated and being overwhelmed and feeling like I'm guessing. And the second thing is, don't shy away from money talk, especially when it comes to your journey of, like, really leading to you becoming a physical therapist, right? Because that's part of it. Yes, y'all are in this to heal people and whatnot, but money is a part of it. It's actually the biggest root of any issue we have within the profession, is just the lack of understanding how money works. It's crazy. Like, if we all just understood how money works within the profession, so many issues would be solved, right? Then the last thing is, like, step into understanding and gaining clarity. Ask yourself, what are things that I just don't understand in my journey? Like in my application process, what are things I'm wasting too much time on just trying to guess through, right? Like most other students. And trust me, listening to what your classmates are doing doesn't always mean that it's clear. They're just doing what they saw somebody else do. So you're just kind of piggybacking off of what a whole bunch of people are telling each other, which usually means it's wrong, right? So those are some of the things that we want you guys to take away from tonight. And if you guys have additional questions, reach out to us. If you're like, hey, where do I start with just getting clarity? Like, I want clarity. I want to just know, like, I want to stop guessing. Go to our free training called acceptancenavigator.com. Just acceptance, CEnavigator.com. It's in the copy above. And then more importantly, if you're like, hey, what are some ways I can start getting some money now so that I can kind of chip away at some of these things? Well, join our monthly money giveaway that we have started. We literally started that today. Like, today was the first day we announced it. Next Thursday is actually going to be when we announce, this month's winners. And what we're doing is basically having two $100 cash prize winners every single month. And literally, obviously, we're giving you guys lots of value in the process, but more importantly, we want to just help, a few of y'all out, just kind of navigating through some of these things. And so to participate, go on this page, our other Facebook page, our Instagram account. We have a post there that literally tells you step by step. It's super easy to follow through. And then if you do that, you'll basically have access to that like every single month. We're going to be doing a new pair of people every single month, but at the same time, y'all will be learning a lot. So if you're interested in that, just look at our different platforms and we'll go from there. But if this was helpful, I love it. I love it, y'all. You're not victims, y'all. Do not react. Do not react. Start taking ownership of this stuff, man. If you guys can do that, you'll be in a phenomenal position as applicants. And that's it. Anything else, Casey?
Nope. See y'all on Instagram and tune in next week to hear the winners.
Yeah. Y'all have a good one. Much love.